Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to week 3 of the challenge. Hopefully, your steps went well last week and your protein targets as well. Obviously, the steps was there just to kind of give us the mindfulness to be more active and, in essence, trying to increase our total daily energy expenditure. That was the focus around the steps. So, if you did miss the targets, remember it's not the end of the world. It was a challenge, but at the end of the day, it's about creating awareness to increase that total daily energy expenditure and make sure that we're trying to burn more than what we're consuming. Hopefully, the protein targets went well. That's going to kind of transition us into this week with regards to our physical challenge, and that's going to be on muscle, building muscle, and especially I want to kind of target this video especially to the ladies. Obviously, it takes a little bit more for ladies to build muscle, and there's often this myth associated with building muscle where ladies say, "I don't want to get big, I don't want to get bulky." If it was that easy, we would all be big and bulky, and it would happen for free. It's a lot harder than it's just happening by accident. So it needs to be intentional, and there's a lot of benefits around it. If you try and attempt to build muscle, that doesn't mean you're going to look like a bodybuilder. Those people spend hours and hours, and their nutrition is dialed in order for them to look like that. So it's not going to happen by accident. We do want muscle, and there's a number of reasons why we want muscle. If we have more muscle, it automatically increases our BMR, so our basal metabolic rate, that rate of energy that burns at rest. That will then increase because muscle, the active effect of burning muscle is more than fat. Also, functional strength in everyday life. We want to make sure that we functional and we able and we can do things and we can play with our kids. And if you don't have muscle, that's obviously going to be something that limits you. We want to make sure as well that body composition. A lot of people say, I don't want to be big, but I want to be toned. Being toned isn't actually a thing. Being toned is basically having less body fat or at the absence of body fat, or having muscle with the absence of body fat. That is what being toned is. So all those ladies who look toned, it just means they've got a slightly higher muscle mass and they've got less body fat, so that you're able to visibly see their muscles more so than somebody who has more body fat. So that is essentially what being toned is. So obviously having more muscle improves our body composition. So we want to see on the in-body sheet, we want to see our weight drop, potentially our muscle increase, and our body fat drop. That's the D shape that we're looking for by the end of this challenge. So the protein is going to help with that. And then obviously doing additional training to be able to make sure that we're continuously burning muscle and we can have sustainable, continual progress. So our challenge this week, we're already doing our 3 classes a week in the grit box or the CrossFit. So there's a fair amount of weightlifting involved in that. But even if you aren't part of the gym, or later in life you're not part of the gym, there's still ways that we can build muscle. So we're going to have our challenge very nice and simple. It'll be in the PDF, but we're going to have some set work that needs to be accomplished this week in the form of some functional movements. So that's the physical challenge. I also want to quickly just talk to you about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is obviously our primary fuel source for our body. It's a big myth. People say that carbs are the enemy. Carbs, we should avoid carbs at all costs. That's obviously a myth. As I said, it's the primary fuel source. It helps us through daily life, just in terms of energy levels, helps us through exercise. But the types of carbohydrates matter as well. You get complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. It obviously has an effect on blood glucose level and being able to sustain energy throughout the day, versus simple carbohydrates, which will give you that energy spike and then kind of take a dip after that. There's obviously carbohydrates that are very or that aren't very nutrient dense. So you're basically consuming carbohydrates, but you're not really getting anything in return for that. So you're consuming, but it's not giving you the energy that complex carbohydrates would. We're going to dive into some more resources on that this coming week. And then the last one is obviously muscle recovery. So basically, when you train, your glycogen stores are depleted and carbohydrate gets converted into glucose, which replenishes those glycogen levels and allows us to recover and allows us to have energy for workouts to come. That is our focus this week, focusing on our carbohydrate intake. In the PDF as well, I'm going to give you a target that we want to try and sustain or hit with regards to our carbohydrate intake. And we're going to focus on types of carbohydrates that we're going to be consuming on a regular basis, just to ensure that we can have, again, sustainability and recovery in our training. Guys, hope you're still staying motivated. I hope everyone's feeling good. Remember, reach out to us if you need support. Let's get after week 3.